Today is a very special day for me and for Chris. We are celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary. And we don't want a gift. We want to give you a gift. The gift of sharing with you what has helped us during these 20 years to consolidate our relationship, to solidify the marriage, and overcome many problems. We've made other videos before where we've discussed the mistakes we've made early on in our marriage, things we did, like a list of the problems that we had, and then we started tackling that list and overcome one by one. We've recorded videos before. If you haven't seen them, go to this address on our channel and you can find the other videos about our marriage mistakes and the things we did to have a blessed marriage today. But today we want to talk about one thing that each of us has done to bless the marriage, to last 20 years and keep going. And we are at the best period in our marriage ever. And we know that as time goes by, it will only get better. So let's share what happened with us and what we did. I'll let Chris start with the one thing that she did that has really changed and blessed the marriage.
This was actually the main thing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the other videos, but I remember that we used to tackle each problem every time. And it was like a pattern, for a couple of months, everything was fine, and then something else happened. Some problem, came up in the marriage. So it was always like, up and down. Not every week, but it was like there were periods in the year, throughout the year, that something would be just making it hard, the marriage, the relationship. So one day I realized, and this was the one thing that really, really changed for me. One day I realized that I needed to shift the focus, because I was always focusing on what my husband wasn't doing for me, what he wasn't like. I was always focused on him, on our marriage, on, what's going on here, what's missing here. And I would always find something. That's why it was like up and down. So one day I realized, I have to stop focusing on my husband, and I need to start focusing on myself, on what I can do, what I can achieve. I'm going to work on my faith. I'm going to achieve things. I'm going to start, stop taking so much of my time and energy on looking at my husband's faults and my husband's flaws, and I'm going to look at what I can do to be a better wife, a better mother, a better woman altogether. Mm-hmm. And that's when things started changing, because I started investing in myself, and I wasn't having so much time to see things that were not working.
Right. So
things that you weren't doing. I wasn't noticing them so much, because I was working on myself.
So before, just to make it clear, before this, you used to focus on what I was doing that annoyed you or that upset you, or on what I was not doing for you. And that frustrated you. That made you feel like unhappy, right? That I wasn't giving you what you wanted to. But then you started changing the focus, or you changed the focus onto yourself and started working on improving and bettering your own self and getting busy, making yourself a more valuable person, a more virtuous woman in every way possible.
Yeah, not to say that I wasn't giving you attention. I wasn't, being a wife or a housewife. Not that. In fact, I was working on being a better wife, a better housewife. Better in every way.
In other words, you did not start ignoring me, or
no.
You did not check out of the relationship. Like sometimes we hear wives saying, "Well, I'm tired. Now I'm going to focus on me," and that means they forget the spouse. That's not what you did.
No.
Gratefully. But you started, continuing looking at my good side and being there for me, doing more and better for me, but you made a decision not to look at my mistakes and not make demands on me to change.
Yeah. That attitude was also somewhat like a self-righteous attitude, because I used to, it's like you're never satisfied. There's always something, maybe we would improve in something, but then something else, you weren't as good in that, And so I always wanted more. I always compared my life, my marriage with other people's marriage. And I thought, we need to be better. We need to change. You need to change. You're not being the husband, or you're not like my father. Many times I would compare you to my father. And so when I stopped doing that and I started investing in myself and seeing what I could do and change and doing it for me, not doing it because I wanted to show off or because I wanted you to respect me or anything like that. I was doing it for me. Because I said, enough. I've been only focusing on my marriage, on this part of my life. What about the other areas of my life? Why can't I just develop, Because I felt like I was stuck. For many years, I was stuck just looking at you, just looking at what you weren't doing, at how our marriage could be better, So when I stopped doing that, that's when I changed. And I noticed that with that, you started respecting me and supporting me and believing in me, which was something that before you wouldn't do. But probably because every time I was demanding so much from you that you felt, that I was too insecure, or I was just not, I didn't have what it takes to look at other things, to be better in other ways, because I was so self-righteous about myself. So when I stopped, I noticed that everything changed. You started respecting me, admiring me, supporting me, even just like, I don't have the words to say, but
encouraging you,
pushing me
you to go
for more.
Right.
And it felt good because you believed in me. You were noticing me, which before it was something I had to ask you for.
Right. So I started giving you naturally, out of my own will, what you used to pressure me to give you. So it was a much more natural, much more precious gift that I was giving, more genuine and sincere gift, because I would sometimes give in to your pressure before and do what you asked me for, but do it with a long face.
And like out of a task, you have, as a husband, I have to do this,
right.
But not because you wanted to.
Right. So then, when she changed, it became like a healthy competition. She was doing better for me. She was improving as a wife for me. So I felt the need to improve as a husband for her. And we also need to say here that because we counsel couples as a part of our work, we notice this is one of the main problems that couples face. When we are sitting in a counseling room with a couple, and we ask them, so what's the situation? What's happening in your marriage? So normally, 99.9% of the time, couples will begin by tearing each other down. The wife will say, well, my husband doesn't do this, and that, or he does this, and that, and lists all the problems that she sees with her husband. And the husband, in his defense, will begin to list all the things his wife does that are wrong. And it's so unproductive, because while you are each focusing on the other's mistakes, you can never get anywhere, because number one, you are attacking your spouse. When somebody gets attacked, guess what happened? That person gets defensive. Nothing changes. You only create friction between the two of you. And then you are wasting that time and energy focusing on someone that you cannot change. So instead of focusing on yourself, who is the only person you can change. So this mistake we see happening. And that's why a lot of counseling, marital counseling, fails, because it just focuses on listing the other person's mistakes. And this is not the way. As long as you are focusing on your partner's mistakes, you will be frustrated, you will become a bore, you will become a boil in your husband's side or on your wife's side, or backside, should I say that? Have you ever had a boil on your backside? You know what I mean. So, as long as you do that, you will always create unhappiness. But when you start saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on me, on myself, while not neglecting my spouse. I will work to become a better person in everything. And then you take that pressure off. You lower your expectations from your spouse, and you increase the expectations for yourself. Then you begin to set a new trend in the marriage, a healthy competition in the marriage.
And also, Renato, the person needs to really believe this, because the person sometimes, the wife may say, yeah, I'm working on myself, I'm changing, I can't change him, but I'm working on myself. But then 2 minutes later, she's talking about what he's not doing, what he could do, how tired she is of what. So basically, you're saying with your mouth one thing, but in reality, that's not what you're doing, because you're still focusing. What happened to me was, I completely stopped looking, and I didn't invest in myself and keep looking at you and saying, what is he doing? I'm here, I'm changing so much. What has he done? Is he changing anything? I didn't do that, because that doesn't work. You're still focusing on the spouse.
Right.
So you need to focus on yourself for real. Focus like 100%. And that's when the spouse will also come, meet you halfway.
Right.
Without the pressure, because he's going to do that only if he sees that you're not, expecting from him.
That's right. When you do that, you inspire the other person to change. You don't force or pressure. You inspire the other person to change. There is a very big difference there. You may be pressuring your spouse to change, but you're not inspiring your spouse to change, because you don't set the example. So what you did was you inspired me to change because of the changes that she made. You became more attractive to me. You became sexier to me because, let me tell you something, ladies, a secret about men, all right? Don't tell anybody, okay? Don't let your men know that I told you this. Men are hunters. It's in our blood, right? From the beginning of time, men used to go out and hunt. Men like a challenge. And this is also transferred into our relationships. When a man sees a woman whom he considers difficult, he's attracted to her. A woman who is confident, a woman who doesn't make herself easy for him. He's attracted to her because she becomes a challenge to him. So he wants to work to conquer her. But when a woman becomes too easy, too, on top of him, like a fly in the soup, like gum in the hair, that have you ever had gum stuck in your hair? You want to get it off, get it out. When a woman is like that, the man gets sick of her. He doesn't want to be close to her because she's too easy. I mean, imagine if I'm a hunter, right? If I'm going to the forest to hunt ducks, and you've seen movies where people go hunt ducks, they put all those clothes and they go and they are hiding themselves in the foliage and they are trying to find. Imagine if that hunter, got there and then all the ducks came out and lined up in front of him and said, shoot me, shoot us, come here, come here. They all came to him and asked him to shoot them. What fun would that be, right? That hunter would go home bored and say, the ducks were all there dancing in front of us for us to shoot them. So it would spoil all the fun. And a part of the fun in the marriage is for the wife to make herself a little bit difficult for her husband. In other words, not to be on him all the time. And I know that sometimes women do that because they want the attention. They crave the attention of the man, but they achieve the opposite. They make the man get sick of them.
And not only wives do that, sometimes husbands do that too.
It can go both ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of the time it's the wife, but there are husbands who do that. And the same thing goes, even though the woman is not so much of a hunter, but when the husband is so into, that needy mode, that always wants her praise and, her attention, it just makes the woman feel sick, because we don't expect that from a man. We expect a man that is
to be strong,
confident, that he doesn't need that extra.
It's a sad sight. Sometimes we see men who are, they are, I don't know what the word is, if it's infatuated or they're obsessed with a woman, and they will basically drag themselves at that woman's feet. And that's a sad sight, because a woman, if a woman is evil and has a man like that after her, she can turn him any way she wants because he is weak. He has given his strength. The Bible says that a man should not give his strength to the woman. It's there. So, in other words, work on yourself, developing your confidence. And remember that love is not bugging the other person. It's not bugging or begging the other person for anything. Love is about giving. You give and you are confident about who you are. You have a sense of self-worth. And that sense of self-worth is what makes you attractive and makes you look like a successful person who will in turn attract the other person to want to be with you. So that's what you did. That really changed our marriage. And I want to share my part, what I did, that also one thing I did that has helped us to be here 20 years on and looking forward to many more years. But we'll have to leave that for the next video. So tune in again, all right? Part 2 of this video. God bless you. Bye-bye.